Hi, my name is Eric Anderson. I'm the president and owner of Enviro Clean Restore based here in Smithfield, Rhode Island. And I'm here to talk to you today about COVID-19 in the workplace. As the country, as our state, as our communities are going back to work, employees are going back to work, there's a lot of information out there online, hearing from the states, from different governing bodies of how to go back to work. And I want to share with you my experience. I want to share with you my thoughts on how to best open up your workplace and provide a safe environment for your employees. Why should you trust what I have to say? Well, I've got about 20 years experience in restoration, dealing with mold and indoor air quality and viruses and outbreaks and different things, and understanding building science. And through that experience, I've developed protocols that we've set up here that have been working, and protocols that I believe will work for you as you open up your workplace. So how do we decipher all these opinions? How do we go through all the opinions that are out there online that our leaders of different places are sharing with us and telling us? We have political agendas out there. We've got conflicting medical science, conflicting medical opinions and conflicting science opinions, and everybody's telling us do this, do that, wear masks, don't wear masks, you need to clean every day, you need to fog. So I'm going to go through that with you right now and kind of take you through what we know works, the best things that you can do. Does UV light work? Does the virus survive outside? What do we need to do to reopen our workplace? So I'm going to go through my recommendations with you now. I think the most important thing one of the most important things going back is just creating a clean environment, right? Understanding that the environment that you're asking your staff to come from their safe home to your workplace to come to, they need to have the confidence that that place is cleaned. So we recommend that you start with a clean building. Yes, that involves a service like ours or somebody else, maybe yourself, but knowing that you can have your place of employment, that your building is fully clean and disinfected. It's almost at that, let's call it ground zero. So how do we do that? How do you create that confidence? How do you create a clean environment? So there's different ways to do that. We recommend starting out with fogging and a full clean. So now I'm magically outside to show you guys a little bit more about the foggers and the type of equipment. So this is a fogging machine, and I've got another one on there I'm going to show you in a second. I want to show you the difference between the foggers and the sprayers, and we take this into a building to spray. So as you can see, coming out nice and evenly. See how high up it goes. So this is one of our fogging machines. And the difference between a pump sprayer, if you go around, you can see the mist. See how quickly it drops down. It doesn't stay airborne at all. And the size of the water droplets are much more, they're bigger, and they're all diverse. They're different sizes. And so the fogging machine is going to work a lot more effectively at getting in the nooks and crannies, or getting in those interstitial spaces, or getting all over the office to make sure you have a thorough disinfection that isn't reliant on a person's human contact necessarily. So I'm going to show you one more. This is our high power fogger that can take to work all size buildings. Very important for our technicians to come into the environment, to come into the workplace and hand wipe everything down as well. Then we know with confidence that everything has been disinfected. We start with the fogging, we wipe everything down, and you have the confidence to tell your employees it's been professionally disinfected. What we also do is we provide you a certificate of disinfection with Enviro Clean, these posters that you can hang up around your office space. They'll say, on this date, your office was professionally disinfected for not only COVID-19 or coronavirus, but all viruses that exist out there. So you have a very, very clean, disinfected environment. Once that's done, you can then implement your get back to work routines. Poof, I'm back. I want to talk to you about the fogging machines for just another minute and the importance of what's in those machines. Same as the chemicals that we use to clean any indoor space. There's a lot of different products out there. There's a lot of very effective products, but there's also quite a bit of misleading information that exists. There are companies that are suggesting that their products can do things that there's no data to back that up, that have lasting effects that can last months and even over a year to keep a surface disinfected. And there's no evidence that suggests that can happen. What I can tell you is that COVID-19 and other viruses are living organisms, so they can come and go and they can grow. And there's no residual effect that lasts more than the period of time that that surface has been disinfected. So we want to bring that area to a clean environment and then come up with a maintenance plan to continue to keep that area clean. Now, what we fog in those machines is a plant-based chemical. We use a product called either BioEsk or Decon 30, and they're both based with thyme oil. They are not sensitive to the touch, so they won't be harmful on skin. You could actually ingest them and be not harmed because they are plant-based. So the nice thing about that is knowing that when employees come back, that you've used these plant-based or organic type disinfectants, that it's not going to have any residual or side effects on your staff. And that's a really important step for us. So on our website, we have some more information about the plant-based disinfectants. You can download it. I can show you here for a quick moment as well. And you can kind of get a better idea of the importance of using a product like that versus some of the other stuff that's out there. Okay, so now your building has been disinfected and you're comfortable with that. Or let's say you skip that step, which is okay in some cases. You skip that step, so now you're going back to work. The next thing I'd recommend that you do is identify somebody or assign somebody as your COVID officer or your virus officer, somebody who can kind of be in charge of making sure that there are posters hung up, reminding employees to wash their hands and to use hand sanitizers. That person would set up hand sanitation systems around, or your Purells and your hand gels and all that stuff to disinfect your hands. Have those around the office places to keep your hands clean. Certainly you want to keep your office space as separate as possible. So in our office here at Enviro Clean, each individual employee has their own office. We don't allow one employee to come into the other person's office, either A, without permission, they still have to maintain that 6-foot distance, or wear a mask. And the mask is out of respect as well as safety. So there's steps that you can take within your office space, in addition to 6 feet apart, having smaller meetings or still meetings outdoors. We have staff meetings now in our back lot. We'll have 3, 4, 8 employees together out there, spaced out, and we meet outside. It's actually quite nice. So there's different things that you can do there as well, making sure that your office is providing the safest environment for your employees. So now we're going to talk about masks for a few moments and the effects that they can have, the positive effects. And I just want to remind everybody that wearing a mask isn't about protecting yourself. It's about protecting those or respecting those around you. That the majority of masks do not filter what you're breathing in, but they trap what you're breathing out. And so whether you have a typical surgeon's mask or you have N95s with the breathing apparatus or N95s without it, whether you have a neck tube like a gaiter that you pull up over your face, there's all different types of masks. And when you breathe out, what that's doing is if you cough or you sneeze, that's preventing some further flow, right? And that's that whole 6-foot rule as well. And so those masks are for those that are around you. So I recommend that in your workplace, that you have your employees have the masks available. If they're going to have meetings, they should wear masks. Or if they're going to be in the same room as somebody, they can wear masks. But if they're at their own desk, like I am right now, and there's nobody in my office, I don't see the need to have to wear a mask at that point. You're indoor, that's fine, but there's nobody else around you. And that's a decision that you as the employer or you as your business have to make. Decide to what level do you want to require employees to wear them. Now, if you're in a restaurant business, obviously there's executive edicts out there right now to wear masks if you're a server or depending on the type of place that you are. But general office environment right now, that's what we're doing, is we're having employees have them on. If they're walking around the office, if they come from outside to the inside, they're putting a mask on, and so on and so forth. Another thing you can do is start up a temperature reading station before employees come to work. And I'm seeing this happen in more manufacturing or large warehouse type settings, whereas employees come into work, they're being temperature screened just to make sure that they don't have a temperature. And that's totally acceptable and you could absolutely do that. What else do we need to talk about? The most important. Okay, so now you've cleaned your building, you have a COVID officer, you have clean water, or you have hand sanitizing stations set up, you have employees with masks that are spread out 6 feet apart. The most important step that you can take in preventing the spread of COVID-19 is daily cleaning. Going around your office, having somebody, a maintenance person, an employee, whoever, clean touch points on a daily basis. Doorknobs, handles, community touch points, water fountains, anything else, conference rooms where there's shared surfaces, shared touch points. That and keeping a 6-foot distance are the two best ways that you can prevent the passing of COVID-19 from one person potentially infected to the next. And I would say you need to immediately implement a process for that. If you go on our website, you'll see you can find a downloadable form, not just reopening the workplace, but the pandemic planning guide, and it shows you some of the cleaning steps there. So as we begin to wrap up, I want to talk about a few more things. What do you do if an employee tests positive? So we know, and it's agreed upon, that employee should go home and quarantine themselves for 14 days. They've tested positive or they think they have symptoms. As an employer or as a business, you want to consider doing the contact tracing to see what other staff and or customers that person may have been in contact with and inform those people. I would recommend that any staff that they've been in contact with also quarantine themselves for a few days to see if they have any symptoms. Now, what we're learning these days is that asymptomatic infected people, it's not as contagious or may not even be contagious. So that's a decision that you have to make as a business owner, as an employer, or as a workplace. And consider how long you want them to quarantine for before they're feeling better. At the end of the day, if you've implemented the other steps of clean doorknobs, clean workplace, 6-foot rule, masks, so on and so forth, then that person probably was very unlikely that they pass it on to anybody else. We're seeing it being passed in close quarters. So that's that. I would also consider a maintenance program. Whereas you're cleaning daily, maybe you hired us or somebody like us to come in and clean and disinfect your building at the onset, but maybe you want to come up with a weekly disinfection program, or bi-weekly or monthly, whatever you're comfortable with. That can either A, certainly bring your building clean, and B, can also help your staff feel comfortable. It even has a placebo effect, right, where people feel more comfortable and coming into work and doing their jobs effectively. I suppose too, though, you want to be careful that with that people don't get too comfortable, right? That it is important to know that we need to adhere to certain guidelines and to those that work for your workplace. If you have specific questions about your building, whether you're manufacturing, whether you're a warehouse, whether you're an office setting, whether you're a restaurant, and you want to speak to me, shoot me an email, give me a call. I'm available. My number's on the screen, or at the end of this video, you can find that. And I'm happy to talk to you, or even come talk to you about a plan for your facility and see what might work. It may involve us, it may not, and that's totally okay. And one thing that we do offer is a free disaster ERP. So if you want to plan for the next pandemic, if you want to be prepared for a sprinkler head that lets go, or a mold issue, or any other emergency disaster, a fire, God forbid, our app, we have an app-based technology that goes onto your phone that we mine your building. We draft up this into your building so you have a full disaster emergency response plan part in our system. So it's 2 clicks of a button and we're there and we respond to that. And that can handle any type of 24-hour emergency service. And that's a great start into planning for your next pandemic. So again, my name is Eric Anderson. If you have any questions at any given time, you can reach out to me or my staff. We're glad to answer them around COVID-19 and preparing yourself to go back to work. Thank you for your time.